Hey guys and occasional girls, my name is GrrrVahrrr and this is The Cranus Returns. "54 seconds. It took me 54 seconds of actual gameplay to kill the final boss. 54 seconds after 19 more hours of boredom. It says it all, doesn't it? What else can I add? I suppose I can talk a little bit about the story, but it is such an incredible clusterfuck of cliches and nonsense, it is like no one cared, so why should I? And gameplay, well, there are a couple of changes. You know, it is very strange how after dedicating 19 hours to something you are still completely apathetic towards it. So, yeah, the story. I'm not doing the usual recap of the story, it is just pointless. Basically the plot is, War is in the shitter, so Death wants to free him. To do that he needs to resurrect humanity, and this is what he does in the end. There is nothing more to it, one goal and 19 hours between you and it.
Thus from death came life, and the seeds of humanity were resown.
What I still don't understand though is when the events take place. At first I thought after War killed the Destroyer the Council somehow captured him, which is stupid but possible. But in the end it became obvious that Darksiders 2 is a prequel, because Death sacrifices himself in the end and only then War breaks the 7th seal, bringing him back to life. However, Death sacrifices himself to resurrect humanity and by the looks of it succeeds, while in Darksiders 1 humanity still rests in pieces.
War had broken the 7th seal, summoning the horsemen of the apocalypse. And the number of the riders shall ever be 4.
So the continuity is totally fucked, but it wasn't enough. Some of the things from the first game were rewritten. The Well of Souls, for instance, and Azrael being in charge of it and giving its power to the Destroyer as a result of his captivity.
And that is why the well has a key of its own, one that was divided long ago. The angels keep one half, and the demons the other. And never shall the two meet.
But the writers didn't want to stop here as well. Now the events take place in several worlds of the creation, all of them filled with unimaginative cliches. Let's make the list of the most obvious ones actually. Dwarfs. Well, overgrown dwarfs on steroids, but they're still dwarfs. Giant rock golems they create. Remember WoW. Japanese-style tentacle monsters. Just dress up Death in a schoolgirl uniform and we are ready for some hentai right there. The Lord of the Dead, because if we are ripping off Diablo, let's do it to the full. And mix in some Disney's Aladdin there, because the Lord of the Dead has a sneaky evil counselor. An avatar of light, so sure of his purity he gets consumed by darkness, insert the Catholic Church joke here. His succubus and her generic demon, because why not? And the battle against your own brother as a finale. The game also can't decide on what the horsemen are exactly. Instead of conquest and famine there are fury and strife. I want you to just think about it for a second. Fury and strife. There is no difference between the 4, there are just dudes that are good at killing stuff and grabbed cool names when they were available. There is a douchey goth kid that calls himself Death in every school nowadays, so what makes our Death different if he isn't even the Lord of the Dead? Well, he becomes his little servant at some point, so I guess that counts. Darksiders 2 also establishes that the creation is gigantic and consists of numerous worlds with numerous races. So why is the humanity so important? Compared to every other thing you meet, humans are just worthless fucks. In Christianity the concept of the apocalypse works, because we are God's only and favorite children. That is why when we screw up majorly he will doom us all to a slow painful death. In Darksiders we are just one of many and the most worthless of all. This leads us to the disappointing ending. The whole second half of the game, Death is talking about the choice between resurrecting humanity or Nephilim, his own kind that he killed for no reason, and I thought I would make this choice because as was established, humanity is worthless, so I wanted to rest the Nephilim who would conquer all the creation, but no, Death actually decides for you, and he chooses humanity. Why? Well, there is an answer to that question, because he loves war so much. Seriously, can you even believe that Death has any emotions other than the desire to kill stuff? He is a brick with only one purpose. The funniest thing, how he occasionally brings up all this "I love my brother so much" bullshit to remind the player about it. It is a stereotypical comic man behavior. Man, we punch bad things, save good things, and put our brothers above all. Thanks God there was no love story. If Death had to choose between saving a girl or war, he probably would implode.
I must restore humanity to redeem war. To save war, I would storm the White City. My brother war. I would protect him above all.
So in the story department, things are as bad as ever. Gameplay now. And I must say that here things actually changed to the better, and could be called good if small annoyances didn't break their legs even before they could make their first steps from shittiness into goodness. First change you will notice is the inventory and loot systems that quite obviously are trying to copy Diablo, and honestly I quite like the idea of mobs exploding into loot and gold, but the idea manages to step on its own face. First of all, because it breaks the pacing, since to properly compare items you have to go to the menu and it can't be done on the fly. By the way, if you actually enjoy navigating the Darksiders 2 inventory with a keyboard and mouse, you're probably big into S&M as well. Second of all, some stuff you get is just OP as heck. Any form of lifesteal makes you immortal. For some time I had a build that focused on critical hits, and with a health per crit weapon I didn't lose health at all. On level 20 I got my hands on the Scepter of the Deposed King, which has incredibly high damage, both normal and magical, and it also freezes stuff. Who the hell put it in the game? Third of all, the amount of gold you get is ridiculous. It's not like you need it anyway, but I just ended up spending it cause I could, not because I needed to, which makes the whole mechanic pointless. Combat sustained most changes, and I must say it changed to the better. It actually became half decent. Switching between weapons is encouraged, and there are even combos that use both primary and secondary weapons. The amount of monsters you fight increased, as did the damage they do, making dodging slightly more important. At least I can't say that I could just tank mobs half the game. It would also be nice if monsters were not as freaking slow as in the first game. However, what frustrated me throughout almost every fight is the fucking goddamn retarded camera. It is always in your way, being an annoying shit it is. Of course you can use the lock on feature, but in big fights locking on one enemy gives every other bastard a free pass to chew on your ass. Besides, playing with a 360 controller constantly holding left trigger during long fights made my finger hurt and made magic use, which is on the left bumper, incredibly awkward. Speaking of magic, you level up now and get skill points with 2 skill trees to spend them in, but as in most badly balanced games it is more efficient to just dump all the points into one thing. I chose the teleport dash. Fully upgraded I was able to teleport behind enemies, that does damage on its own and allows me to hit them as well. It also explodes on arrival, slows enemies, puts an immolation dot on them, increases mana regen and critical chance by freaking 20%. What I'm saying is, fuck balance. Remember about 54 seconds, we are watching them because I find it hilarious. What game has a final boss that can be beaten in 54 seconds on the first playthrough with 0 skill? It is ridiculous. I can't get my head around it. 54 seconds. Controls are as shitty and unresponsive as in the first game, resulting in BS deaths like this one. Everything else is pretty much the same as in the first game as well. Same Prince of Persia-like platforming, same boring, always gigantic bosses, same puzzles that I think became even easier if it's even possible, same grayness that is worse evil than the corruption tentacles trying to rape the whole creation. But this time all of it is stretched to the point of breaking. 19 hours is way too much for the stupid grind this game is all about. It is not necessarily bad that the game is long, but it makes the player beg it to end halfway through. Let's make another list actually, the list of a single quest you will be doing over and over again, because it is not funny. Collect 3 stones to awake the Guardian, collect 3 horns to fight the arena boss, subdue 3 souls of dead lords, to subdue one of them collect 3 human souls, collect 3 pieces of the Archon staff, cleanse 3 waterfalls to go through a door. Do you see where I'm going with this? Most quests are either collect 3 of something or do 3 things, the rest get to a certain point and kill a boss. How about a little imagination, guys? Overall, I can't say that the game is bad, but it is not good either. It is just bland and I can care less about it. Even taking Dead Space as an example, I despise that game, but at least I care about it and interested in it. I even want to play Dead Space 3 at some point, but Darksiders, blah. After the first game, the franchise had a chance to redeem itself with the second game, and it blew it, becoming one of the reasons of THQ's bankruptcy and resulting in the death of the franchise itself, which is sad? I wouldn't know. But what I know is, if you have 20 hours to waste, you can do worse than Darksiders 2. I'd say it's still a pretty good transcontinental flight game. But I personally still prefer Diablo 2. The name's GrrrVahrrr, and I shall see you from within my next video.
Goodbye, goodbye, see you again. Goodbye, goodbye, see you, my friends. Goodbye, goodbye, I had fun today.